So nothing is happening in Pokemon right now, and because of that, I wanted to see what Pokemon Unite was like after not playing for over a year, and it's still bad for all the same problems and even more problems now, but I kind of came to the conclusion that it's better than it's been for a while, and we'll talk about all that stuff. So if you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your friends, comment your thoughts down below, and use code Verlisify for 20% off your G Fuel order. If you're not drinking G Fuel for peak energy and focus, you're griefing your games and even your life, so stock up for whatever games you're playing. Let's talk about Pokemon Unite. Biggest problem is the same problem that I've had with the game forever now, which is bots. If you want to play Pokemon Unite, you come back in, you're going to get bot games in ranked. That should be illegal. And the weird thing is, it feels like the devs have put a lot of work into masking the bots. Like, the biggest thing is that, oh, they're a second late off getting the pad, and that's the biggest way to tell. But their AI is completely different, and at least bot games feel more winnable because your bots rush to Rayquaza, and then the enemy bots just, like, desperately stay on your side of the map to score. So it is really winnable. Just go to Rayquaza and win. Also, like, the queue timing is weird because, like, after 15 seconds, if you don't find a match, you just get a bot game, and then they all queue up at different times. Like, oh, these might have been humans, but you can kind of tell because no one actually wears the Pikachu outfit. So if you just see, like, full paid-for outfits, it's like, oh, well, that's a bot game. I'm just not going to click accept. But then you get penalized. The devs find it unacceptable to ruin the experience of bots, and then they make you sit out for a minute, and then they make you sit out for 5 minutes, and I guess you just don't want to ever play Pokemon Unite again if you don't want to play it with bots. And the crazy thing is, like, I would rather wait 5 minutes. I'd rather wait 10 minutes to get a queue with human players instead of play a 10-minute bot game that is an auto-win that will rank me up, because I'm playing this game for its competitive nature. I want to beat actual players. I want to get better and improve, and if you have to do just non-stop bot games consistently, you're not going to get better, and you have no actual experience. There's no game to be played against bots, and there's just non-stop bots unless you queue with other people. But that's the death spiral I talked about like 2 years ago with this game. Like, okay, you make players play in bot games, but then they get upset and they quit, which means there's less players, so there needs to be more bot games, so it then becomes impossible to sustain the game, and all it takes is a couple of friends just go, nah, this game sucks, and now you just don't have anyone to queue with, and then everyone quits. I don't understand Chinese mobile game developers, because I understand that gacha games and mobile MOBAs are unbelievably popular in Asia, but, like, how are these tactics successful? Like, why is this the trend and the culture where it's like, oh, you have bot lobbies, you have these weird ranking systems, you have to make it to where you're playing all the events and all the free stuff more than the actual game when you're sifting through, like, unlocking emblems and then doing events and then all of your daily missions and stuff. Yeah, I understand that that's just kind of like how you keep people addicted to it, but for the most part, a lot of people just get upset and they quit. So it's like, oh, the game is entirely funded by whales. It's like the strategy is to make 100 games with 1,000 players each instead of one game with 1,000,000 players. So there's like no everything game for people to enjoy and play anymore. I mean, we have seen moments like Fortnite is still huge and popping off. It's like that old League of Legends. That's what I want. I want Pokemon Unite to be Season 2, 3, League of Legends. Everyone in the world is enjoying it. Unfortunately, the Pokemon community is also too toxic to support the game, which then puts it into the death spiral because of the lies about the game being pay to win when it absolutely wasn't. But now, in a weird twist of fate, the game is pay to win because there's no other way to fund this mess, so you can actually buy ranked protection. And that's what I mean about not understanding Asian mobile game developers, where it's like, yeah, they find this acceptable, the player base, because of skill issue players, they buy into it, they pay their money, and that's just that. Also with, like, new Pokemon licenses, you have to pay money for the first week, and then they become available with the AOS coins. But it wasn't even an AOS coin problem in the game first launch. Like, cool, the community created this with the lies about the game being pay to win. Oh, God forbid you actually have to play a game to naturally unlock things. And in certain aspects, like, oh, if the Pokemon was playable in normal, and then after a week it becomes available in ranked, but also for free in-game currency, like, perfect. That's completely fair probably gets a good amount of funding for the game. Also, if money's so tight, why not just release a shiny for every character? $10, the game is now funded indefinitely. So these developers are predatory, but also are allergic to money, and just making the worst decisions ever, but then the Western entitled toxic gaming community can't deal with it either, and now Pokemon Unite, a good game. I enjoy the game. I enjoy playing the game. When I get a human match and I'm able to like be skill expressive and develop on my character and learn the game and also just dunk in style on people until my team throws a Zapdos or Rayquaza, I want to play Pokemon Unite. I streamed for 4.5 hours and I went, wow, I streamed way too long, but I just got sucked in. You find 2 other people to play with, you trio queue, you don't get bots anymore, the game's fun. But then the same problem is, your randoms are going to be the shittest players ever. Also, EX licenses. How is that acceptable? And it's so weird because like these Pokemon are so powerful that ranked seasons restrict them sometimes, but then the devs just go, nah, EX Pokemon are allowed now. Like, no, those should be like your overpowered fun things that you can use in normals or like PvE modes or, you know, the alternative game modes when they do some kind of event. Yeah, let them be like super busted. That way you can feel cool that you spent money and then you can carry people that aren't playing with your overpowered Pokemon, but in a non-competitive setting. Yeah, sure, that'll still get sales and that'll still justify the Pokemon's existence, but ban it from ranked. And that makes it extra unfun when you go, my team doesn't have an EX Pokemon, their team does. And people are saying like, oh, EX Pokemon are acceptable now, but that should never be how something in a competitive game is treated, where it's like, yes, these are objectively stronger and meant to be overpowered and special, which is why they have the EX classification, and you're only allowed 1 on your team. That should just never exist to begin with. And I think it's cope when you're just like, well, it's tolerable power now, but then it used to be like super giga unplayable when these Pokemon would launch in unacceptable states. And even then, like Mewtwo auto attacking me at like level 3 for ability damage while also just getting like spam rapid auto attacks, that's not cool. Miraidon being able to just like float around, being one of the fastest Pokemon in the game, and then hitting me from like off screen and doing all of my health, that's unacceptable. Like, these Pokemon are still unacceptable. That's an outrageous amount of power. I think the only thing is, like, I haven't seen Zacian do too much, but I think it's a very, like, snowball-y, super win harder character, but it also has a low win rate now after finally getting a significant amount of nerfs or something. I don't know. Either way, it's unacceptable. And then it just feels worse when you get the EX diff, or the randoms steal the other lane, feed the EX Pokemon, game's more unwinnable than it's ever been, even like when you consider feeding players like Season 2, or during weird score metas and stuff, where it's like, no, it felt possible, but now it's like, no, players are still trash. You would hope that the few dozen players still clinging onto this game for years would develop some amount of skill, but no. They feel that 10 minutes of their life is best spent immediately losing the game in Champ Select by picking Slowbro or Snorlax when we have all of these other new crazy Pokemon to play. And it's not even like an argument of fun. Snorlax has gotten power crept. He doesn't win lane anymore. Slowpoke and Slowbro always lost lane and always lost game and haven't gotten any better. Same thing for the content creators. You'd imagine that if you're making videos about this game for years, you'd actually get good at it eventually. But no, everyone is still like trash at the game, and then bad players keep trying to copy that trash, and now you have Leftovers Potion just griefing games. Real cool. Or all of these other bad strategies where it's like some meme video cooks up where it's like, yeah, you lose 20 games, you finally get the one pop off on something stupid because Pokemon Unite, you can snowball off of any build eventually into any amount of trash players. It's like, yeah, there's nothing here. And that's also my problem with League of Legends. Like, there's just way too many modern gamers that have no idea how to play video games or develop skill or be skill expressive in any capacity. So they download an app, they copy a tier list or builds that are usually outdated. The amount of Zeri players I had, like, building Trinity Force 2 to 3 patches after they removed the interaction was unacceptable. I watched Freak's patch rundowns, and he's like, oh, this build is dead now. If you're running this, you're just, like, straight up trolling. So, yeah, you can understand, like, this is a bad player. Or, like, this build is dead, and we nerfed it way too much in the patch, and that's okay. And then for, you know, several patches, I'll be seeing people run those builds because they were popular for a bit. Static Shiv Kaisa, late into Season 13, even though it was just completely not viable at that point. These idiots not reading patch notes when every promo game I had in Season 14 was people saying, wait, they removed Mythics? Or, oh, they changed this, oh, they changed that, what am I supposed to do? What are these grubs? It's like, oh my god. Yeah, no one knows how to play the game. And even when they're like spoon-fed all of these shitty tier lists and shitty builds, and they download the app, it can't save them. Because the people that are making it are also incompetent at the game and don't know what they're talking about, and doing outdated basic stuff that doesn't develop any game sense or develop any kind of strategy for the game. Pokemon Unite suffers from that, but with also the cheat-heavy, toxic, and unskilled Pokemon community, game deserved better, but it never stood a chance. I was hoping, I was optimistic back in 2021, but it never stood a chance. But in the beginning of the video, I said the game feels better. And that's actually true, because the game is dead. Even ranked matches have no meaning. Back when it first came out, I was like, yo, the climb to being the best was actually real. Also, when I wanted this to be like one of the most popular, one of the most played games ever, we have our Pokemon League of Legends that everyone wanted in 2012, 2013, and now it's popping off like League of Legends back in 2012, 2013. Everyone's playing it, everyone's loving it. The Pokemon MOBA is the new Fortnite. Biggest game ever, let's go. That's what's like, yeah, you gotta be serious. You gotta take the game serious and be competitive. But now it's so dead, a loss doesn't matter. It's like everyone's just having fun. So all the idiots that were like ruining my games because they weren't taking them seriously, 3 years ago, that's just everyone now. Back when, like, if Zapdos got flipped over your team just being unbelievably stupid and trash at the game, like that ruins your day. That makes you legitimately angry. Now it's like, Rayquaza got stolen, we lost. Well, it's a dead game, so it's like, this loss doesn't matter. But then, like, why are you playing the game at that point? And that's how I feel. Like, I play games because I want to play relevant games and be good and expressive at good games to actually just kind of feel like something matters. But I guess that's the problem with, like, social media and society and terminally online internet cultures. Like, everyone's worthless now. They show that through their gameplay. They just don't try to develop anything for themselves. They think that they're good because they're copying an actual good player, or maybe even not like someone they think is good that's using like bad builds and griefy troll stuff. And then they project with that because they have no value of their own, and then they're just like, oh, it's just a game, even in ranked now. Or even like if you don't take a normals game seriously, like you just suck. Like you should just stay out of multiplayer experiences entirely. But that's the thing about Pokemon Unite. None of it matters anymore. It's an unbelievably dead game that never got to reach its potential because of the player base, but then the devs also just making the worst decisions I've been complaining about for many years now, where it's like, you have to split the ranked queues. And they did that, but that also means you have to split the leaderboards. You can't have Flex 5v5 and Solo Queue share the same MMR system and ranked points. Because, like, oh, as a solo player, I'm just always going to be, like, permanently not in the top 300 because I don't have a 5-stack auto-winning games. And I guess it's slightly better that they split the queues because you would wait 15 minutes for a match, and then you get 3 solo players in a duo, and you're going up against Bruv's 5-stack. So like, oh, I guess I'm just losing ranked points today after waiting all that time. I just don't get to play anymore because I made it too high. So it's like, oh, this is I made it to Challenger queue, but it also like has pro 5-stack teams on it, like in a League of Legends scenario, where it's like, cool, I've got 3 master players and 2 master players, and I'm going up against FlyQuest. And then the devs kept too many crappy metas around for way too long, so like anyone that wanted to give the game a chance just quit. And they never really solved the Zapdos Rayquaza issue, which takes like a lot of mainstream MMO players, or not MMO, MOBA players out of it. Like my friends was like, yeah, until they fix Zapdos, I'm never playing Pokemon Unite. So, well, I think at that point you're over-exaggerating things to justify not wanting to play the game, but like, whatever. That a lot of people have that experience instead of like trying to make the most out of it. And the thing with Pokemon Unite is no one saw enough in Pokemon Unite to put the time into it like they did with Season 2 League of Legends, or Season 1 League of Legends, where it's like, oh, my stats are just worse because I don't have as many games played, so my runes aren't as good as my opponents. But like, that was manageable. Like, you fight through that kind of stuff, and then like you just get your skull caved in by LeBlanc and Riven and Shaco, but people were just like, yeah, but we'll get him next time, friends. And then like you get that completely curb stomp game where you are the one running over people because like your Talon was really sick or something. Like the snowballing and helplessness of early League of Legends was wild, but people would still play through that even after getting the most demoralizing loss streaks. Pokemon Unite, it wasn't that. It was, oh, they paid $100. Like, yeah, every person you lost to in Pokemon Unite paid $100 to get 2% more stats than you, and that's why you quit. So yeah, everything just went wrong for Pokemon Unite, but that's also just modern gaming. right now, where it's like, yeah, gamers have gotten so fragile and unskilled, where it's like, yeah, you can't play any anymore that matter. Dang, that sucks. So yeah, there we go. That's Pokemon Unite, where it's like, well, you can play it, and a loss doesn't feel as bad because the game doesn't matter, but it still has as many problems as ever, and those problems have gotten worse, like with the botting or the balance through EX licenses and just other little annoying things. But I played it for 4.5 hours because, dang, it is one of those just like, you just keep going next, and you can just mindlessly play a lot of Pokemon Unite because it is a fun game. Dang. Like, just what nonsense. But that's Pokemon Unite 2024. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.